Hey guys, welcome back to Mind Your Conversions, brought to you by Fibr. If you're new here, this is where we break down the art and science of marketing with our hosts, Liv and Max. They will help you understand marketing better, explore fresh strategies, and most importantly, drive higher conversions. So whether you're a seasoned pro, or even if you're just getting started, you're at the right place.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be tackling something that might be like the secret weapon you've been missing in your SEO arsenal.
Ooh, secret weapon, huh?
Yeah, A/B testing.
Okay.
We've got some really solid resources on this, and I am excited to unpack them with you because, honestly, I think the biggest mistake I see people making with SEO is not testing their assumptions.
Yeah.
Like A/B testing lets you actually see what really works, not just what you hope will work.
Yeah, I mean, what's fascinating here is that SEO A/B testing really is kind of a game changer.
Right.
It really takes the guesswork out of optimizing for search engines. And we're talking about like using cold, hard data to make those decisions. And that can be incredibly powerful.
Okay, so let's make sure we're all on the same page here.
Yeah.
We're kind of comparing two versions of a web page to see which one performs better, right?
Exactly.
But how is that different from like the A/B testing we might do for like user experience?
So that's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
With regular A/B testing, we're trying to figure out what makes people click, stay on the page, and ultimately, buy something, right?
Yeah.
But SEO A/B testing has a different audience.
Okay.
Search engine algorithms.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're basically trying to figure out what makes Google happy.
Okay. So instead of just making things look pretty for visitors, we're trying to make sure search engines understand.
Exactly.
And rank our content highly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Sure.
I've spent like hours on blog posts that just don't get traffic.
Right.
Like, is this where SEO A/B testing could save the day?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, it helps you pinpoint those hidden issues that might be kind of dragging down your performance.
Okay.
Think about it. You could have the most beautiful website in the world, but if Google doesn't understand what it's about, or if it thinks it's low quality, you're going to be buried in the search results. So SEO A/B testing can help you avoid that.
That's a really good point. It's like having a detective helping you uncover like why your content isn't reaching its full potential.
Totally, yeah.
Speaking of potential, our guide mentioned something about ROI.
Yeah.
And how SEO A/B testing can actually save you money in the long run. How does that work?
Yeah, so driving traffic to a website can be really expensive.
Oh, for sure.
Especially through ads.
Yeah.
In 2024 alone, pay-per-click costs are estimated to range from $100 to $10,000 per month.
Wow.
So instead of constantly chasing more traffic, wouldn't it be smarter to optimize the traffic you already have?
Okay, that makes sense. So instead of just throwing money at ads, we use SEO A/B testing to make sure that our existing visitors are actually engaging with our content.
Exactly.
Becoming customers.
Yeah.
It's like making our website work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about optimizing for conversion,
Oh.
not just traffic. So imagine you have like an e-commerce site with decent traffic but lagging sales.
Yeah.
SEO AD testing lets you test different product descriptions, calls to action, even image placement.
Wow.
To see what really encourages people to buy.
That's really compelling.
Yeah.
But I think some people, myself included, get a little nervous about making big changes to their websites.
Right.
What if we mess something up?
Sure.
And actually hurt our ranking?
Yeah, no, I understand that hesitation.
Yeah.
And that's where one of the biggest advantages of SEO A/B testing comes in.
Okay.
It lets you test changes incrementally and with minimal risk. You're not overhauling your entire site at once. You're dipping your toes in the water first.
Okay, so like if I wanted to try a new layout for my blog, I could test it on like a couple of posts?
Exactly.
Before applying it to like my entire archive?
Yeah.
Okay. That takes a lot of pressure off.
Precisely, yeah. You get to see how those test posts perform.
Right.
In terms of traffic, engagement, even conversions before making site-wide changes.
Right.
And if something doesn't work, you've only impacted a small portion of your content.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so it sounds like SEO A/B testing really is all about making data-driven decisions, not relying on our gut feelings, which honestly I'm very guilty of.
We all are sometimes.
What are what are some of the specific metrics that we should be tracking?
Yeah.
And how do they connect back to our SEO goals?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful things about SEO A/B testing is that it lets you actually track measurable results.
Yeah.
The metrics you focus on will depend on your specific goals, but it's like you're moving away from guesswork.
Right.
And into like hard data.
So it's not just vibes anymore. It's like looking at the numbers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So are you trying to improve your click-through rate from search results, then track metrics like impressions and clicks?
Okay.
Want people to stay on your page longer? Focus on things like time on page and bounce rate.
Okay.
It's all about being really intentional with your data.
Okay, so the first step is figuring out what we want to achieve with our website.
Right.
And then we identify the specific numbers that will tell us if we're moving in the right direction.
Exactly.
Okay. But SEO is always changing, right?
It is constantly.
So do we have to run like A/B tests like constantly just to keep up with the latest algorithm updates?
So you've hit on a really important point there.
Okay.
SEO is not a one-time fix.
Right.
It's an ongoing process.
Okay.
Think of it like tending a garden.
Yeah.
You need to keep weeding, watering, and pruning to make sure your plants thrive. SEO A/B testing lets you adapt to changes in search engines, user preferences, even the market itself.
So we can't just do like one test and call it a day.
Right.
We need to keep experimenting to make sure that we're always getting the best results.
Precisely.
Okay.
Continuous optimization is key.
Okay.
So let's say you tested keyword density a while back and you found what worked. But then Google updates its algorithm.
Yeah.
Now you need to reevaluate.
Okay.
Or maybe you've added like video content and want to see how that impacts engagement.
Right.
There's always something to test and refine.
Okay, so SEO A/B testing is clearly valuable. But are there certain types of websites that would benefit more than others?
So while any website looking to improve its organic traffic can benefit, some stand to see more dramatic results.
Okay.
E-commerce sites, for example, often have a lot to gain from testing product page elements.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
Even small improvements in conversion rates can add up quickly.
Exactly.
When you have a large number of product pages.
Exactly. And the same goes for content-heavy sites like blogs and news outlets. They're fighting for attention in a crowded online space.
Yeah.
Testing, title tags, header structures, internal linking these can make a big difference in how their content ranks and how much traffic it attracts.
What about like B2B and SaaS companies?
Sure.
Would they also benefit from SEO A/B testing?
Absolutely. For them, organic traffic is often a primary source of leads.
Yeah.
So they can use A/B testing to optimize landing pages, refine their keyword targeting, even experiment with different calls to action to maximize those leads.
So it's not just about selling products.
Right.
It's about attracting like the right kind of visitors, the ones who are most likely to become customers.
Exactly.
Down the road.
Exactly. And even large enterprise websites with their complex structures and multiple audiences can benefit.
Yeah.
SEO A/B testing helps them refine their strategies for different sections of their site and tailor content to specific segments of their user base.
So it seems like SEO A/B testing is a pretty versatile tool.
It is, yeah.
But earlier we touched on the difference between SEO A/B testing
Yeah.
and user A/B testing.
Yeah.
And it's important to keep those separate.
Absolutely. They both involve testing, but they have different goals and target different audiences.
Could you break down those key differences for us again, just to make sure everyone's clear on that?
Of course.
Yeah.
So with SEO A/B testing, we're primarily focused on the search engine algorithm.
Yeah.
We want to see how changes impact rankings, visibility in search results, and organic traffic.
Right.
User A/B testing, on the other hand, is all about how real people interact with the website.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So with user A/B testing, we'd be looking at things like whether people click certain buttons, fill out forms, or spend a certain amount of time on a page.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's about understanding user behavior and optimizing for things like engagement, conversion rates, and overall user experience.
So how do we know which type of testing is right for us?
So it depends on your goals. If you want to improve search engine rankings and drive more organic traffic, then SEO A/B testing is your focus.
Okay.
If you're more concerned with user experience and increasing conversions, user A/B testing might be a better fit.
But ideally, wouldn't we want a website that's optimized for both search engines and users?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can we benefit from like both types of testing?
Ideally, yeah, you want to strike a balance between the two.
Okay.
It can be tricky because what works for search engines
Yeah.
might not be the most appealing or intuitive
Right.
for users.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like a very delicate balancing act.
It can be, yeah.
Trying to please the algorithms and the humans.
But at the same time.
At the same time, exactly.
Yeah.
I think before we move on to like the practical side of setting up tests,
Sure.
I think it'd be helpful to maybe define some of the jargon that gets thrown around
Yeah.
in the SEO world.
Of course, it can be overwhelming,
Yeah.
especially for those who are new to SEO A/B testing.
Right.
So let's break down some key terms
Okay.
that are crucial to understand.
Yeah.
So when choosing your control group,
Mm-hmm.
make sure it's representative of your overall traffic patterns.
Okay.
You don't want seasonal variations or anomalies skewing your results.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just about picking any random page.
Right.
We need to be strategic about it.
Exactly.
Okay. What about the variant?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where things get interesting, right?
That's where it gets interesting.
That's where we actually get to experiment.
Yeah, so the variant is the altered version of the web page.
Okay.
The one where we implement changes based on our hypothesis.
Okay.
You might even have multiple variants,
Yeah.
each testing a different element.
So like one variant might test a new title tag, another one a different meta description,
Right.
and another one like a combination of both.
That's the idea.
Okay.
It all depends on what you want to achieve, but each variant
Mm-hmm.
should test a single, specific hypothesis.
So we're not just making random changes.
We're not, no.
Okay.
Very targeted.
We need a clear idea of what we're testing and why,
Exactly.
which brings us to the hypothesis.
Yes.
What does that mean in the context of SEO A/B testing?
So a hypothesis is your educated guess about what will happen when you make a change.
Okay.
It should be based on your understanding of SEO best practices and what you know about your target audience.
Okay.
But it needs to be specific and measurable.
Okay.
It's not enough to say, I think this will improve my SEO.
Right.
You need to be able to track actual data.
So an example might be, I think adding a call to action at the end of my blog posts will increase newsletter signups.
Exactly.
Right.
And a good hypothesis is clearly defined.
Mm.
It focuses on the specific change you're making, the metric you're targeting, and the improvement you expect to see.
Okay.
Now, to test that hypothesis, we use something called split traffic.
Ooh, traffic. Okay. What does that mean?
So we need to divide the traffic coming to our website between the control group and the variant group.
Okay.
This ensures that both versions of the page are exposed to a representative sample of our audience.
So it's like a science experiment,
Exactly.
making sure everything's fair.
It is, yeah, and control.
We'll make sure everything is fair and controlled.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're not just showing like one group to some people and the other group to others.
Right.
We're randomly sending visitors to each version.
Right.
Okay.
Most A/B testing tools will do this automatically,
Okay.
but it's important to make sure that the split is even and that there aren't any external factors influencing which version someone sees.
Right, right. So it sounds like we're building like a pretty rigorous experiment here.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
We have our control group, our variant, our hypothesis, and we're splitting the traffic. What happens next?
So that's where we use key performance indicators or KPIs.
KPIs, okay. These are the specific metrics we track to see if our changes are having the desired effect.
Can you give us some examples of KPIs that we might track during an SEO A/B test?
Of course.
Yeah.
So if we're testing title tags, our KPI might be the click-through rate from search results.
Yeah.
Testing a product page layout.
Mm.
We might focus on the conversion rate.
Okay.
Testing internal linking.
Yeah.
We might look at time on page and bounce rate.
Okay.
It all depends on what we're trying to achieve.
So we need to be clear about our goals
Mm-hmm.
and then choose the metrics that will tell us if we're moving in the right direction.
Exactly.
Okay.
And once we've gathered enough data, we need to see if there's a statistically significant difference between the control group and the variant group.
Statistically significant. Okay.
That's how we know the results aren't just due to random chance.
Can you break that down for us in like simple terms?
Sure. Essentially, it means we're confident that the changes we made actually caused the difference. Okay.
In performance between the two groups?
Yeah.
Not just random luck.
Okay.
Most A/B testing tools will calculate this for you.
Oh, good.
But it's important to understand the concept.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we see like a big improvement in our click-through rate for the variant group,
Yeah.
we can be fairly sure it's because of that new title tag.
Exactly.
And not just because traffic was randomly higher that day.
Exactly.
Right.
And we usually want a confidence level of 95% or higher
Okay.
to be really sure.
Yeah, to be really sure about the results.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've decoded some of the key jargon.
Right.
Now let's get into like the exciting part.
Yeah.
What can we actually test using SEO A/B testing?
Ooh, lots of things.
Yeah.
Lots of things.
There must be like a lot of different elements that we can experiment with.
There are.
Yeah.
We can test everything from the obvious like title tags and meta descriptions to more nuanced things like internal links and even schema markup. Oh, wow.
But let's start with the basics.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's talk title tags.
Okay. Yeah.
Why are those so important for SEO?
Yeah.
And what are some things that we can test to improve their performance?
So your title tag is essentially your headline.
Okay.
In search results. It's the first thing people see.
Right.
So it's crucial for getting those clicks.
It's like a first impression.
It is, yeah.
We got to make it count.
Got to make it count, yeah.
What are some of the things that we can test to make our title tags like more effective?
So we can test different keyword placement,
Okay.
trying to strike that balance between what appeals to search engines and what makes sense to humans.
Right.
We can also experiment with the length.
Yeah.
Aiming for something that's concise, readable, and accurately reflects the content of the page.
So we don't want to just cram a bunch of keywords in there.
No.
We need to think about how it reads
Exactly.
to a real person.
Exactly.
Okay, what else can we test when it comes to title tags?
We can try using emotional hooks or power words
Okay.
to make them more compelling.
Okay.
So instead of just best running shoes,
Yeah.
we could say, find your perfect running shoes today.
Oh, okay.
Or the ultimate guide to choosing running shoes.
Okay, so adding a bit more personality
Exactly.
and excitement to make them stand out
Yeah, make them stand out.
in those search results.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about meta descriptions?
Okay.
Are those as important as title tags?
So while they don't directly impact your rankings,
Okay.
they still play a big role in that click-through rate.
Okay.
Think of them as like a short blurb that appears below your title tag.
Okay.
It's like a mini advertisement for your webpage.
Okay. So how do we write a meta description that like makes people want to click?
Right.
What are some things that we can test?
We can experiment with different calls to action, using numbers or statistics to grab attention, and even adjusting the tone of voice to match our brand.
Okay.
It's all about making that description as enticing as possible.
Okay, I'm starting to see how much we can like play around with here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just about writing something.
Right.
It's about really thinking about how it will be perceived in those search results.
Exactly.
Now, what about the content itself?
Okay.
We know content is king for SEO.
Right.
But does the actual layout of the content like matter?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the way you structure your content can have a huge impact on both user experience
Right.
and how search engines understand your page.
Yeah.
It's not just about what you say, it's about how you present it.
Right. Okay. So we could be testing things like whether people prefer short paragraphs or long ones, if they engage more with visuals,
Yeah.
or if they like, key takeaways in bullet points.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's all about finding what works best for your specific audience and content.
Yeah.
So we can test different heading structures, image placement, bullet points, even paragraph length.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
There's so much more to this than I realized.
Absolutely.
What about internal links?
Okay.
I know we're supposed to use those, but how do they fit into this whole SEO A/B testing thing?
So internal links are those links that point from one page on your website to another. They're important for both SEO and user experience.
Okay.
They help search engines understand the structure of your website and the relationship between your pages.
Okay.
Plus, well-placed internal links can help visitors navigate your site and find the information they're looking for.
So they're like little signposts
There are.
guiding both like search engines
Yes.
and human visitors
Yes.
around our website.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there are a few different things we can test. When it comes to internal links,
Yeah.
we can experiment with different anchor text,
Okay.
the actual text that's used for the link, to see what encourages more clicks.
Okay, so instead of just saying like click here,
Right.
we could try something more descriptive,
Exactly.
like learn more about SEO A/B testing.
Exactly.
Okay.
We can also test the placement of our internal links.
Okay.
Do people click on links that are embedded within paragraphs, or do they prefer links that are listed at the end of a post?
Okay.
These are all things we can measure and adjust based on the data.
Wow. I'm really starting to see the depth of this.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
What about calls to action?
Sure.
Those are important for conversions, but do they have any impact on SEO?
So calls to action, or CTAs,
Yep.
are those little nudges that encourage visitors to take a specific action.
Here.
Signing up for your newsletter, downloading a guide, making a purchase. They don't directly impact your search rankings,
Okay.
but they can influence user engagement metrics,
Okay.
which can indirectly affect your SEO.
So if people are clicking on our calls to action
Right?
and spending more time on our site, that's sending positive signals
Yeah.
to search engines, even if the call to action itself isn't like a ranking factor.
Exactly.
Okay.
And just like with everything else, there are so many things
Yeah.
we can test with our calls to action.
Okay.
Different button text,
Yeah.
placement, even the design of the button itself.
So we could test things like get started,
Yeah.
learn more, download now, or even something, more specific
Exactly.
to the offer.
Yeah.
And we could see if those buttons work better at the top of the page, in the middle, or at the end.
Exactly.
We could test different colors, sizes, shapes, whatever we can think of.
Whatever you can think of.
It's all about finding what works best
Yeah.
for our audience.
Your audience.
Okay. This is incredible.
It's fun, yeah.
What about mobile optimization?
Yeah.
I know that's super important,
It is.
especially with so many people browsing on their phones these days.
Exactly.
Can we use SEO A/B testing to improve our mobile performance?
Absolutely. With Google's mobile-first indexing, it's more important than ever to make sure our websites are optimized for those smaller screens.
Okay.
And yes,
Yeah.
SEO A/B testing can help us figure out what works best.
What are some things that we can test when it comes to mobile optimization?
Sure.
I know, I've been to websites that are really hard to use
Right.
on my phone. So I'm curious, what we can do to improve that.
We can test different navigation menus, font sizes, even image optimization strategies to see what provides the best experience on mobile page. Load speed is also critical. Mobile users are often on slower connections.
So we could be testing things like whether people prefer a hamburger menu or tabs on mobile if they want larger fonts, if they're okay with waiting for images to load, or if they prefer a faster loading page with fewer images. It's all about making the experience as smooth as possible.
Exactly. We can even test the placement of calls to action and the overall layout of our content to see what's most effective on those smaller screens.
Okay, so we've covered title tags, meta descriptions, content layout, internal links, calls to action, and mobile optimization. And is there anything else we can test using SEO A/B testing?
We can even get into more technical aspects of SEO like schema markup.
Schema markup. That sounds a little intimidating. Can you explain what that is and why it's important?
Schema markup is a way of adding structured data to your website that helps search engines understand your content better. It's like giving them a cheat sheet so they can easily categorize and display your content. It allows Google to show those details directly in the search results, making your listing more informative and appealing to users.
Can you give us an example? I'm having trouble visualizing what that might look like.
Let's say you have a recipe on your website. You can use schema markup to tell search engines what ingredients are used, how long it takes to cook, and even the nutritional information.
Ah, I see. So instead of just seeing a basic listing for the recipe, I might also see the cooking time, the star rating, and maybe even a photo of the finished dish. That would definitely make me more likely to click.
Exactly. And just like with other elements, we can use A/B testing to see which types of schema markup have the biggest impact on our click-through rate and our overall SEO performance.
Okay, so we're constantly experimenting, trying to find the best combination of elements to get the best results.
Right. It's all about being strategic and using data to guide our decisions.
Now, what about page speed? I know that's a ranking factor, but can we actually test it using SEO A/B testing? Seems like that would be hard to measure.
Page speed is incredibly important for both SEO and user experience. Nobody wants to wait for a slow website to load, and Google has made it clear that page speed is a factor in their ranking algorithms.
So how do we actually test page speed using A/B testing?
We can test different image optimization strategies like reducing image sizes or using lazy loading to see how they impact our load time. We can also test different content delivery networks, CDNs, minifying our code, and caching our pages to see what makes the biggest difference.
So we could try compressing our images more or using a different CDN and then see if those changes actually make our page load faster.
Exactly. It's all about measuring the impact of those changes and seeing what makes the biggest difference for our users.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. Starting to realize just how much we can test and how much data we can gather to make informed decisions about our websites.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There are so many more nuances and strategies we can explore.
Well, I'm definitely ready to dive deeper. Now that we have a good understanding of the basics and the different elements we can test, let's talk about the process of actually setting up and running an SEO A/B test. What are the steps involved?
Great question. Let's walk through the process of designing and executing a successful SEO A/B test. It's all about being systematic and making sure we're gathering reliable data.
Okay, so how do we pick those lucky pages? Do we focus on our top performers, or is there a smarter approach? I'm guessing it's not as simple as just picking at random.
You're right, it's a bit more strategic than that. While your best performing pages might seem like the obvious choice, it's actually more beneficial to select pages that share the same template and have a good amount of historical traffic data.
What do you mean by same template? Is this about keeping the design consistent?
It's about making sure the pages have a similar structure, even if the content is different. For example, on an e-commerce site, you might choose all your product pages because they follow the same layout. Or on a blog, you might pick all the articles in a specific category, like SEO tips, because they tend to have a similar format.
I see. So it's about isolating the variable we're testing and minimizing any other factors that could muddy the results.
Yeah.
It's about making sure we're comparing apples to apples, right? What about the historical traffic data? Why is that important?
Historical data, ideally a year or more, gives us a baseline for comparison. It helps us be sure that any changes we see are actually due to the element we're testing, not seasonal trends or random fluctuations.
That makes sense. If we were testing pages with very little traffic data, it would be hard to know if an increase was due to our changes or just random luck. We need that historical context to make informed decisions.
Exactly. It's like trying to measure the effectiveness of a new workout routine without knowing your baseline fitness level. You wouldn't know if the improvements were because of the routine or just because you were feeling extra energetic that week.
Okay. So we've chosen our test pages, and we're armed with historical data.
Right.
What's the next step in our SEO A/B testing adventure? Okay, so we've chosen our pages, we've got the data. What's next?
Now it's time to, well, figure out exactly what we want to test.
Okay.
So pinpoint that element, like, is it going to be the title tag, meta descriptions, the layout of the content, anything really that could be affecting your SEO.
Okay, so if we're like really struggling to get clicks from those search results,
Right.
we might start by testing different title tags.
You got it.
And just see which ones are most effective at actually getting people to click.
Exactly. Or let's say you're seeing like a really high bounce rate.
Yeah.
On your product pages. You know, maybe experiment with different layouts or calls to action.
Right.
And see if you can get people to stick around a little longer.
It's all about like identifying those areas where we think we can improve and then using the data to actually make those decisions.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It takes the guesswork out.
Right.
And you're making decisions based on, you know, what's actually happening.
And what's working.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've identified the element that we want to test. What do we do?
Well, now we have to get a little creative.
Okay.
Come up with variations.
Okay.
You know, put on your brainstorming hat.
Right.
And think outside the box a little bit.
Can you give us like an example? Let's say we are testing title tags.
Sure.
What might some variations look like?
Okay, so let's say your current title tag is just best running shoes.
Okay, simple.
Simple, right. So maybe you try a variation that's a little more specific.
Okay.
Like best running shoes for women or best running shoes for marathon training.
Right, or best running shoes for people with big feet.
Exactly. You could also do a call to action.
Okay.
Like, find your perfect running shoes today.
Right.
Or even just experiment with moving those target keywords to different places
Right.
within the tag.
So we're trying to figure out different ways to make it more enticing,
Yeah.
keeping in mind both our target audience and what search engines are looking for.
It's about finding that balance.
Yeah. Okay. What happens once we have all those variations like ready to go?
Now it's all about implementation.
Okay.
You know, making those changes to your test pages. But this is where you have to be careful, right? Make sure that you're only changing the one element that you're focusing on.
Right. We don't want to introduce any other variables.
Exactly. Could really mess things up.
Right, right.
So yeah, be as precise as a surgeon.
Okay.
Isolate that impact.
So it's all about being like really, really careful.
Yeah, precision is key.
And making sure that those changes are like implemented correctly.
Yes.
So once those changes are in place, then we just make sure our analytics is all set up to track the things that matter.
Right. You want to be tracking those impressions, the clicks,
Yeah.
the click-through rate, average ranking position,
Okay.
organic traffic, all those good things.
Okay, those are all important numbers.
Keep an eye on those numbers.
Okay.
See what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now for the $1 million question,
Okay.
how long do we let this test run?
Well, as we said, patience, my friend.
Right, right. We talked about patience.
Patience is key. We got to give those algorithms time to do their thing.
So we're not talking about hours
No.
or even days.
No.
We need to think like weeks, months, maybe.
Think weeks, think months. Yeah. A good rule of thumb, again, 2 to 4 weeks minimum,
Okay.
but some might require even more time.
So it's really a waiting game,
It is.
but the insights we gain from it,
Worth it.
worth the wait.
They're worth it.
Okay, so we're monitoring those metrics,
Yeah.
watching the numbers like a hawk
Mm-hmm.
and just waiting for the data to paint us a clear picture.
Exactly.
What happens once we've collected enough data?
All right, now we're getting to the fun part.
Okay.
We're going to see if our hypothesis was right.
Oh,
Time to look at how those control and variant groups are performing.
okay.
Get into those analytics
Yeah.
and really start comparing those key metrics,
Right.
the ones that we outlined in our hypothesis.
So if we were testing title tags to try to improve our click-through rate,
Right.
we would be looking at the click-through rates
Mm-hmm.
for both groups
Exact.
to see if there is, that statistically significant difference.
Yeah, and we're not just looking for any difference.
Right.
It needs to be big enough to be meaningful.
Yeah, it's got to be a real difference.
Right.
Okay. So we're also considering the overall trend of the data.
Yeah.
Is it consistent?
Is it consistent?
Or are we just seeing a lot of ups and downs?
Right. Is it up? Is it down? Who knows?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, yeah. So even if the variant group's average click-through rate is slightly lower,
Mm-hmm.
if it's trending upward over time, that might still be a good sign, right?
Could be, yeah. Maybe those changes are starting to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what if our test doesn't give us the results that we were hoping for?
Sure.
What if the variant group performs worse,
Mm.
or the difference is just too small to really matter?
Then we learn.
Okay.
It's all about learning from our failures.
Okay, wait. So we're allowed to fail.
Oh, yeah.
I thought failure wasn't an option
No. It's totally fine.
in the world of SEO.
Failure is the best way to learn sometimes.
Oh, okay.
It helps us narrow things down, figure out what works, what doesn't.
So a failed test just means we need to go back and try something else.
Go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
Try again.
So if our variant group performs poorly, it doesn't mean we did something wrong.
Doesn't necessarily mean that.
Okay.
Maybe we just need to analyze that data, see if there's any clues there
Right.
as to why it didn't perform the way we expected.
Oh, so it's like a process of elimination.
It is, yeah.
Just trying different things
Mhm.
until we find what works best for our website.
Exactly, because SEO is always evolving.
Right.
What worked yesterday might not work today.
Right.
And what works for your website
Yeah.
might not work for mine.
Right.
It's all very individual.
So we need to be adaptable,
Mm-hmm.
willing to experiment,
Yeah.
and always open to learning new things.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what SEO A/B testing is all about. It's embracing that data-driven approach
Yeah.
and continuously refining those strategies.
I love that. It's about being a student of the data,
A student of the data, yeah.
constantly learning and evolving.
I love it.
This has been an incredible deep dive
It has.
into the world of SEO A/B testing. I
Yeah.
feel like I've learned so much today.
Good.
Really gained a whole new perspective on optimization
Yeah.
and that power of data.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. And to our listeners, if you want to dive deeper into the world of SEO A/B testing, we highly recommend checking out what is A/B testing for SEO.pdf, which helped inform our discussion today.
Great resource.
Yeah, really great resource. Now, armed with the knowledge you've gained today, what will you test first? Remember, The only way to truly master this is to roll up your sleeves and start experimenting. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Thanks for tuning in. That's it for this episode of Mind Your Conversions, brought to you by Fibr. I hope you are leaving with fresh ideas and strategies to take your marketing and your conversions to the next level. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Thanks for listening. Until then, take care, and we'll see you next time.